What's the best budget drift car? We have Nate's favorite BMW E46 over here. It has a Wisefab narrow kit on it, which will work with the stock body. As you can see, we have the Corvette C5, which has the Wisefab narrow kit on it, as you can see, because it fits on the stock body. And you can maybe hear it in the background. 370Z, which is the full Wisefab kit on it, because there is no narrow Wisefab for a Z. Which of these cars do you guys think is the coolest, like low budget or like roadworthy driving car? Let me know in the comments, and we're gonna give you our opinion, obviously, in this video. Also, Big Russ.
Yes, sir.
We're doing a nice episode on budget roadworthy drift cars.
Nice.
The Z against the C5.
You got the $100 car, the $2,000 car, and then a couple, you know,
Yeah, and this is like also. I like that it's still running driving.
still drives straight, surprisingly, when it has matching tires on, so which is somewhat rare, but you know.
I don't think there are many police cars that get into a harder life after they've been a police car.
Yeah.
But in this case, there's no denying. I remember the day you bought this.
Oh yeah, brought it over to the house.
I remember
No
that.
MAF, no intake. I drove it to ABS so many times with no intake.
I was like, oh, I was gonna fuck around with it for a week and then it's gonna be destroyed. But here we are, like, it must be a year or something almost.
Oh no, over a year. I got it July, I think 25th last year or so, but I only started drifting it January 26th. So.
Awesome. Which one of these hoopties do you like best?
The Z's amazing though. You can't like. It's such a well-balanced car for tire wear, for power, for everything else. People always ask what drift car to start with. I know Wout's either E46 or I think.
No, I have nothing against these. Well, it does obviously have the full kit, so that's like compared to the other ones, that's really nice.
Oh yeah, it has the angle of the pro car and the suspension feel. So
yeah.
love it.
Nate, which one of the hoopties do you like best?
The Z.
See? That was an easy answer.
What else? That's not a hoopty.
Well, like,
That's true. It's not as much a hoopty.
like for people that are like in drifting and they've got like, let's say 10 grand to spend, You can get like a Z, either a 350 or 370, a
Is it
Z5,
built?
or like an E46.
I'll do that.
You'll
I'd
be
mod the
$3,000.
knuckles, coilovers, dual caliper, and then work up to a Wisefab kit.
So you would do a Corvette, basically.
I would do a Corvette.
All right, awesome. So we're here with the hoopty. It's hoopty day. Odi brought his hoopty, which is an awesome 330, and we brought
a hoopty though.
It's a super nice. It wasn't somebody's.
Super nice hoopty.
It was somebody's pride and joy.
Yeah.
Now it's Odi's pride and joy. No, this is ripping today. Yeah. So I'm doing a video on like cheaper cars because people always complain that all my stuff's pro and expensive. Your stuff is also pro and expensive.
Yeah.
So what kind of car do you like for people that are like under 10 grand? It doesn't have to be a beginner, but somebody just like, I have a normal job. I got to pay for my shit.
Yeah. I personally always stayed away from BMWs. I've owned them in the past, and they're mechanically kind of problematic. There's things that fail on BMWs a lot sooner than they do on Nissans, Toyotas, Hondas. It's just the nature of these cars. But if you're mechanically inclined, then I'd say buy a BMW because of the failures that are known. The prices of them are very low.
Right.
So you can get your hands on like a really clean, older BMW for very low investment. As far as dynamics of it go, they drift absolutely perfect. There's so much aftermarket support to make it drift well. The angle kits out there by Wisefab are great, and you have options: narrow, wide, pro.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is if you're mechanically inclined, buy a BMW hoopty. If you're like,
so what broke on yours so far, or what did you do that you expect?
preventatively? Yeah. So before I even started drifting, I had to pull the oil pan off and tack weld the oil pump gear. That's just kind of something you got to do. The coolant system was already updated by the previous owner, but you have to do that on these.
Yeah.
It's a lot of plastic components in the cooling system.
Yep.
Radiator, but you kind of have to do that on anything. You buy a 350Z, probably should put a bigger radiator on there.
Yeah.
The biggest kind of chore is the back of the car. So the diff ratio is terrible. I think it sucks for especially AVS. And the subframe wants to rip out of the chassis. So before you even start drifting it, you kind of have to dismantle the car. Like the whole back, subframe down, diff out, had to source the diff with a tighter ratio, had to get plates that weld into the chassis so the subframe doesn't rip out. Bushings obviously on all the suspension components. So that's really it. I'm just kind of dreading having any mechanical weird failures, like premature failures. For example, some of the rubber components wear very quickly on these cars, like even the air intake boot. It gets
that's the
brittle,
thing.
falls apart. There's all these weird, stupid things that I've never, as a Nissan guy, had to worry about. Even the crusty S13s, like the plastic overflow that's been in there since day
all
one.
The time, still good.
So just,
But was your subframe mount cracked in the car?
No,
Was it?
It wasn't, but that's the thing with these cars. I'd done enough research to know, just don't even try it. Just address the issues right off the bat.
Exactly.
And I did that. And the first day out with this car, I had an absolute blast because I was just very diligent. I just addressed everything before I even went out and drove it. So
awesome. And I actually think that they're also normal family cars or normal commuter cars, so they don't have this sports car tax. That a Z is a sports car, a C5 is a sports car, an S chassis is a sports car, so they're going to be more expensive. And this is just it's just a normal car. You know, it happens to be
Yeah.
rear wheel drive. So
It's a normal car that has the stigma of being very expensive to upkeep.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
That for us is like perfect because
Yeah,
it means
yeah.
it's depreciated, it's undervalued by the normal consumer.
yeah, awesome. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Sweet.
And lastly, my opinion, of course, I am a little bit biased towards Corvettes because it's so special for European to have a Corvette, but also the Corvette is probably the highest torque out of all these cars, so you don't really need to modify much for them to have fun on different tracks, not just AVS, but also a little bit bigger tracks. And yeah, it's probably the mid-priced ones. It's a little bit cheaper than a Z and a little more expensive than an E46. So for now, I would say grab a C5